A-L-E, with an I in the middle, not an E. I'm a member of the Rhode Island Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. And I have a couple of questions that I would like to raise. Since 2016, there has been a 260% increase in utility earnings. That's a number that comes from the Federal Bank in St. Louis, not a particularly radical institution, I think. The second thing, another statistic that I find rather puzzling, is there has been a fourfold decrease in the natural gas price in the last couple of years, to be specific, since 2022. That's a number that comes from the US Energy Information Administration. Yet another one, not one of my radical friends, but reliable, I assume. I've heard the representative of Rhode Island Energy mention twice that the company makes no profit on energy generation. I have no reason to doubt that, but the problem is that that's only half of the truth. The rest of the truth is, I take for instance my utility bill, half of that is electricity, the other half is something else. Well, the something else is transmission, delivery, fees, and who knows what. My suspicion is, and people can correct me, should correct me if I'm wrong, that if one goes up, the other goes up. If that were not the case, I would be left with the impression that Rhode Island Energy is taking over from Sean Feinstein and being a philanthropist and doing this all for no cost at all. That's hard to believe. Another point is, yet another statistic, and then I'll stop with the statistics, but in the US, on an average day, 800 people die as a result of poverty. That's what leads to what I have on this t-shirt here in front. Now, it so happens that in Rhode Island, if you scale things, it takes a year for 800 people to die of poverty, roughly speaking. It's an approximation. You think that that number will go down? I don't think so. And the reason that I think so is that there is hard evidence that shows that if people are threatened with eviction, and that is ultimately what happens if you can't pay your bills, if people are threatened with eviction, their chance that they will die prematurely goes up, and it goes up significantly. So even if nothing of that happens, if people are not evicted, simply the threat that they might is a killer. Let me add one more story. I've been testifying regularly in the last couple of years for the percentage income payment plan at the State House. A while back, I was testifying, and next to me was an elderly woman who started to tell her story. The story was that she could barely afford the house that she lived in. She suffered from arthritis and could not afford to turn up the heat during the winter. She started to cry. I mean, it really hurts me to even tell you the story. She started to cry in the middle of her testimony and couldn't finish that testimony. Please keep that in mind. That's what is happening here. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Next person, I may have struggled with the handwriting. Ubaldo, is it Quintero? I can't tell what the last name is.
Quintero. Quintro.
Very good.
Yeah.
My name is Ubaldo. Ubaldo. Quintero. Quintero. I speak Spanish. I don't know if somebody translate what I want to say right here.
Yo puedo hablar español, pero no hay nadie aquí que pueda entender
I can
la
translate.
conversación que
I
yo
can
y él no
translate.
puede recordar lo que le está diciendo, pero es algo que puede
I can
traducir.
translate.
Ok, bueno, gracias.
Como primero, la democracia para Energy y Gas Electric y Gas Milk, parece que no hay democracia en este pequeño estado de Rhode Island.
First of all, I would like to say that there is not a democracy when it comes to Rhode Island Energy and the community in Rhode Island.
Estamos condenados desde que firmamos el contrato con Electric Bill y Gas Milk, estamos condenados en dejar de comer o pagar el bill de la electricidad y el gas, porque la renta parece que estuviera, la renta de los departamentos parece que estuviera haciendo competencia con Electric y el Gas Milk.
We seem to be condemned when we signed off to have services being provided by Rhode Island Energy, and it almost seems as a competition of who charges more, whether the rent or utilities, so it's hard to afford them.
Desde el COVID hemos estado padeciendo la incapacidad de quedarnos sin trabajo. Por ejemplo, en mi persona, personalmente, me quedé sin trabajo de 15 años de servicio. Me quedé sin trabajo porque el jefe de la compañía donde yo estaba se murió de COVID y desde ahí he empezado una secuencia. Tengo en mi casa a mi esposa con cáncer, tiene 3 inhabilidades, duerme con 2 máquinas y a Electric Bill le importó poco y allá fueron hace 2 semanas, cortaron la electricidad, habiendo una carta de un médico que estaba certificando la incapacidad de mi esposa.
Quiero traducir ahora.
Since COVID, I've been starting to suffer. I lost my job of 15 years, where I was working for 15 years. I ended up jobless after COVID because my boss passed away. And my wife currently has 3 different disabilities and is on, I believe, 4 different machines, and we're suffering to pay the bills.
Ahí tiene la carta, porque me pidieron una carta del médico. Ahí tiene, le mandé la carta a la compañía de electricidad. No sé qué han respondido, no sé si la han mirado o se han dado cuenta de la carta. Pero parece que no ha sido de nada porque hemos tenido que dejar de comer gracias a todas las iglesias que dan comida. Ahí pueden ir a ver mi nombre. Mañana tengo que ir a una iglesia allá a buscar comida porque tengo que pagar el bill, tengo que pagar la renta que va subiendo cada día. Eso están haciendo competencia, la renta y la electricidad está haciendo competencia para no dejarnos comer, para no dejarnos dinero con lo poquito que ganamos. Yo he pagado mis taxes desde que llegué a este país. Ahí están mis taxes, todo el tiempo ahí están mis taxes hechos para el gobierno de aquí de los Estados Unidos. No le debo un peso de taxes al gobierno de los Estados Unidos porque pago mis taxes y no tengo derecho siquiera a decirle a la compañía de electricidad: mire, déjenme un momentico, esperen un momentico mientras que tengo a mi esposa aquí que no puede estar. ¿Ahí qué pasó? Cortaron la luz, el estúpido, perdón la intervención, que cortó la luz, no le importó nada. Le dije, mi esposa no puede dormir sin esa máquina. ¿Qué me tocó? Irle a decir al vecino que me prestara la extensión para enchufar la máquina, pero tocó que llamar al doctor para pedirle información y que volviera, porque eso de una vez el doctor se da cuenta ya que desconectaron la máquina.
My wife and I sent a letter to Rhode Island Energy certifying the medical condition that she has, and so far Rhode Island Energy has not responded. I have to stop eating in order to be able to pay the bills. It almost seems again as if the utilities and the rent were competing with one another to see who charges me more. I've paid my taxes on time all this time, and I don't owe anything to anyone. But it is hard to, besides, even after paying my taxes on time, even after trying to keep up with the bills, it's hard to see that I don't have the capacity or the ability or the right to ask Rhode Island Energy to give me a chance. There was, and forgive me for my word, there was a stupid person that came up to my house to cut off the utilities recently, even though I had told them specifically that my wife had medical conditions, but that person did not care. That person, of course, was working for Rhode Island Energy. And it is very hard to see that I don't have a chance to get a break.
Okay, yo creo que no quiero alargar más esto porque esto es una historia demasiado larga que ha venido trascendiendo años por años y la competencia de los servidores públicos, parece que la palabra servidores públicos nadie la conoce. Están ahí, cuando quieren el puesto buscan la palabra servidores públicos, pero cuando ya llegan al puesto, la palabra servidores públicos se olvida totalmente. Servidores públicos, señores, somos servidores públicos, son servidores públicos. Hay que ayudar a la gente porque hay una necesidad de servicio. No solo yo tengo la necesidad de servicio, la mayoría, 100% aquí de las personas están dejando de comer por ir a pagar la luz y el gas y la renta, sobre todo, que la renta no se dan cuenta, el electric bill no se da cuenta que la renta está subiendo un cuartico en Central Falls, la ciudad más pequeña de Rhode Island. Central Falls, 1.600 un cuarto. Hombre, eso es nadie ha hecho nada por eso. Y la electricidad, cada vez que ocurre, aquí tenemos dos desastres naturales, que es el invierno y el verano. El verano nos azota, el invierno nos azota. Entonces, el electric bill lo que hace es, no, van a utilizar más calefacción, hay que subir para que puedan tener calefacción todo el tiempo. Llega el verano, no, van a poner los aires acondicionados, hay que subirle porque todo el mundo va a prender aire acondicionado. Entonces estamos en un juego ahí de que si hace mucho invierno, subimos la electricidad. Si hace mucho verano, subimos la electricidad. Yo no sé hasta dónde va a llegar esto, de verdad. Muchas gracias.
So the last part that Osvaldo said was, I don't want to have to choose between eating and paying the services. A lot of us are in the same boat. Rhode Island Energy is supposed to be serving the public, but it seems like they do not know the word service. If you are working for Rhode Island Energy, you are supposed to be serving the public. And they like to claim that they're there for the people, but in reality they're not. They're only there when you want to charge people. The majority of us have, I think I already repeated this, the majority of us have to stop eating in order to pay the bills. Other expenses are high too, basic necessities, and Rhode Island Energy does not take that into account, that we have to pay other things too. Rent, for instance, in the city of Central Falls, only one room is $1,600, and on top of that, at the utility rate increase, we need the services for the winter time, for the summertime, and we can't survive without services. That would be all. Thanks.
Ma'am, before you go, did you actually give your name?
And Daisy.
Can you spell your last name for us too?
P-A-Z, Paz.
And Ms. Paz, I was very impressed with your ability to translate. It's like you had a tape recorder in your head because you followed nearly everything that he said.
Thank you.
That was quite impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person I have on the list is Lee Wilder.
Do you need me to spell my name?
Yes, please.
It's Leewilder. Yeah, so I am absolutely against raising the rates. I just don't see any reason why that would be necessary. Rhode Island has the second highest rates statewide in the country. Before us is Hawaii, so we're above California. And I'm like, what are we going for first here? Like, it not only is it just cruel, it doesn't really make any sense either. Like that people are putting profit over people's lives. Some people have their medications that need to be refrigerated, and our friend here who has his wife her life is surviving off of electricity right now. And as you can tell, I'm like very perplexed right now, I'm very puzzled, and I also want to echo too just what everyone else has been saying and what everyone else is probably going to say. I don't think anyone on this side of the room is for this, and I don't think anyone in Rhode Island that's not a part of Rhode Island Energy is for this either, to be quite frank. So yeah, I just want to echo what everyone else is saying, and that's all there is to it. Thanks.
I have Ms. Daisy Paz on the list. Did you want to come up and speak too, for yourself? I think we already have the spelling of your name.
Well, thank you so much for listening. We generally hope that not only do you listen to us, but also take into consideration all of the stories that are being said today, because it's real stories. At the end of the day, I know that the people that are employed by Rhode Island Energy also have families, also have kids. And with all respect, I do want to encourage all of you to take into consideration the words that we're saying here today. I'm sure that you don't want to imagine yourself in our shoes, having to put your children out, instead of cooking a nice meal for them inside, having to go outside to, the fire pit in order to cook food for them. Or I'm sure that you probably have grandparents who have been, on medication or connected to different machines. And it's not fair. You have the privilege to receive an income. You have the privilege of not being discriminated against. And that's great. But we want a little bit of fairness for our communities. As a Hispanic, poor person, student, I can tell you it's very hard to see your parents having to choose between utilities and paying food. And I saw that a lot of times growing up. And even till this day that I'm an adult, I can still tell you I'm impacted by that. And I want to thank Mr. Commissioner, I think, for acknowledging my interpretation skills. I want to mention I'm a student and I'm looking to improve my skills. I thank you for that acknowledgement, but also the reason why I've been able to learn is because of school. And in order to go to school, you need utilities. I'm currently in community college and it's really hard to juggle a job and education. So, I wish that every kid out there is able to get an education, but again, without utilities, how do you thrive? How do you survive even? So I want to be able to continue my studies. I don't want to give up on them. I know that I have the capacity to study, but I don't have the money to pay more rate increases. So, I think it's very straightforward what we've been saying today. We understand that there are expenses in order to, be able to provide gas and electricity to people, but can you not profit off of the poor? Can you profit somewhere else? Not with us. It's not fair. And I'm going to read some of our members' testimonies, people in the community that are very impacted by the current rates and will be even much more impacted if the rates increase more. I want you to hear from them. The first one is Lydia Peoples from Providence. She states, I'm living on a fixed income. I either eat or pay my utilities. I think you guys have heard that throughout many years. And we want you to really care, because at the end of the day, like we said, we're human beings, we're people, and it's in your hands to make that decision. You are in power. We are not. We're just poor people, but we're here begging you, to not raise these increases, these rates. I got a little bit off topic, but going back to Lydia's testimony, she says, I either eat or pay my utilities. It is very important for me to have affordable utility rates, not to raise them. That's Lydia People from Providence, Everett Pope from Providence as well, who is unhoused because he couldn't pay his bills. I don't agree with rate increases at all. I'm struggling. Lee Butler, we can't afford another rate hike. You can barely get food already. I don't want to have to sit with my daughter in the fire pit. This is what I was talking about earlier. I don't want to have to sit with my daughter in the fire pit outside to heat our food or put an extra sweater on because I can't pay for utilities. Instead, I want to be able to turn my heat on when I need it. They raise the rates every fall and it has to stop. This is Lee Butler. Dulcelina Duarte, I am low income, a single mom, and it is not easy. If the rates increase, it will be especially hard for us, the poor. It's not fair to pay so much for utility bills and to raise the rates again. Luisa Cabral says, I can't afford another rate increase because I'm a single mom with 2 children and I have medical conditions. Luisa Oreli Tavares says, it is hard to buy food and clothing, utilities, the basic necessities. It's hard to survive. I don't agree with rate increases. Jessica Barney says, I have a daughter with health conditions and it's hard doing everything by myself. If the rates get raised, it will be harder for us, especially the disabled. Roland Lendoy, utilities are too expensive, please don't raise them. Yvette Figueroa, the cost of living is too high already. It's hard to afford the basic necessities. The income we bring home does not match the current rates. Now imagine another increase. My whole family is struggling to afford everything. Don't raise the rates. We need a PIP program instead of increasing the rates. Kwame from Providence, I don't agree with the utility rates because most folks are barely making rent with a 9-to-5 job. So to add more to what people are already overwhelmed with does not make sense. Kwame from Providence. The next one is Steve Poston from Pawtucket. I don't agree with the rate increases. My life would be different if we had affordable utilities under a percentage of income payment program. Don't raise the rates. That's myself, I already gave my testimony. Patricia Jacobs, my income is only $1,000 per month. Utilities are a huge part of my expenses already. I can't believe Rhode Island Energy wants to raise the rates again. What on earth will we do if the prices keep going up high? Penny Medeiros, as a disabled person, raising the rates would be an atrocity for me. The rich may be able to afford an increase, but we can't, and it's not fair. Right now, I owe quite a sum, and raising the rates would never let me get out of the hole I'm in. Right now, I'm on oxygen, I use a nebulizer 4 times a day, and I'm also on a BiPAP machine. Another rate increase will impact my health. This is Penny Medeiros. The next one is Sheila Brown. I live in subsidized housing, but I pay for electricity. The rate increase would cause more people to become homeless. Moises Jimenez from Central Falls. There is no justification for the rate hikes. Taking away another part of families' incomes to pay the increase will impoverish families more. And as a consequence, some may end up not paying the bills at all. If Rhode Island Energy increases the rates, they would be basically communicating to us that they don't care if people end up homeless or dying. The rates were increased last year. Why raise them again? That's all, thank you.
Woo! The next person I have on the list is Aaron Isaac.
Aaron, A-A-R-O-N, Isaac, I-S-A-A-C. So I wasn't going to speak today, I didn't prepare anything, but I wanted to give a little context because some mention was made of the many benefits Rhode Island Energy has for low-income customers. And I just wanted to, from my perspective, those benefits are wholly insufficient. And I have a couple of reasons to say that. First of all, the low-income discount, it's great, but if you look at the delinquency rate for people on the low-income rate, it has been rising ever since, I believe in October of 2022, when there was a big forgiveness program when Rhode Island Energy came to Rhode Island. When that happened, the delinquency rate for low-income customers was 40%. As of July, it was either 39% or 40% again. So it's hard for me to believe that we can sit here and say, oh, well, we have all these programs that will take care of all of our concerns. If you look at, say, the AMP program, which, for those who don't know, is a debt forgiveness program. Look at any year, we have records for the AMP program. Sorry, I'm talking real fast. Look at any year we have records for them. You will find that more people default than complete that program in any given year. So, let me also say, when I was working for the George Wiley Center, around, I believe it was November of last year, we were getting calls from people telling us that Rhode Island Energy had kicked them off their medical protection. People with defibrillators, people who were living on oxygen. I spent a year fighting for those people, and I still haven't gotten to haul back their protections. I know I haven't, because people still call the office talking about this. So I realize, right, that the increase in price is, it's driven by the market. Like, there's the winter rate, there's the summer rate. I'm in full recognition of that. My personal opinion, given my experience with Rhode Island Energy, is that you should eat it.
Yeah!
The next person I have on the list, now hopefully I pronounced it correctly, is, it looks like Climbing Fox.
That's me. Sorry, I had to clear my throat.
If you'll just give me a moment, I prepared something. And it is Clymene A. Fox.
Can you spell it, please?
C-L-Y-M-E-N-E A, the middle initial, and Fox, F-O-X. Okay. I'm glad I get to meet you face to face today. I have a lot to say and I will not hesitate to do so. My name is Clymene A. Fox. I'm a two-time feature filmmaker. I instantly fell in love with Providence upon my first visit in 2017, and finally decided to move here in 2018. I filmed my second feature, Centralia, here. I watched my co-parent deliver both of our beautiful children at Rhode Island Hospital. I loved the artistic atmosphere, though I'm sad to say, people like you have been doing their best to choke and price out of here the poor artists who built your culture in the first place. Just bear with me, sorry. To be quite honest, I would love to be crafting my third feature film right now. It's written, ready to go, and mostly casted via backstage. But there's one problem. Your company ruined my life. Let me elaborate. Your company ruined my life by allowing an already questionable energy bill to run far out of hand. The truth is, regulations should have stopped me from accruing such a bill in the first place. However, people like you And people who willingly serve people like you lobby for less and less regulation so you can take advantage of people like us. And no longer will the people allow you to do so unopposed. We've collectively awoken to the blatant injustices you criminals get away with year after year. I strived for more in my life. I tried to open up my own art and workspace to build my legacy in my home in Rhode Island, because I was lucky enough to find a space like that that housed me when I needed it when I first moved here in 2018. That space no longer exists because it was bought out by people like you, who would rather put luxury apartments there that sit there for ghosts because no one can rent them. No one can afford them on top of your high energy prices. At 22 years old, I made the biggest mistake of my life when I rented a building from an obvious slumlord with hopes of buying it from him in order to open an art store and gallery on the opposite side of the property as well. I was trying to make myself a staple of Providence arts culture. Not only that, but my films have been showcased by two of the most highly respected arts institutions in Rhode Island. Both Waterfire Arts Center, Barnaby Evans personally screened my first film, We Lawless Few. And Motif Magazine personally screened my second film, Centralia, which I filmed in Rhode Island. I was way in over my head. I moved people in illegally, but strictly followed the mantra many of you people push on people like us. The falsity that one must do whatever it takes to get ahead in life. You must push through any obstacle with reckless abandon in order to make it. I didn't make it. I fell flat on my face. The difference between people like us and people like you failing is people like you get to fail upwards until you're a fucking CEO. And I'm not done yet. People like us don't get that luxury. The luxury I get is to end up abandoned by the roommates and artists I tried to help when they needed homes, despite the risk it would pose. Sorry, I've gotten lost. Here I stand before you, weighed down by a $10,000 albatross around my neck, in the form of an outrageous energy bill. This led to me being denied permanent supportive housing, despite the fact that as a survivor of severe abuse and PTSD, I certainly qualified for it. Rhode Island Energy didn't care. They didn't want to do anything for me. I was then sent back to the halfway house for LGBTQ unhoused individuals, where I unfortunately was goaded into a fight by another resident and removed. Now I am 28 and homeless, literally sleeping outside, despite working my ass off to prove that I belong in the fucking arts community as a poor Puerto Rican trans gay woman. And now, you want to sit here and tell me you and your fellow execs deserve more money. For what? so we can buy you another house, so we can buy you some more investments to diversify your wretched portfolio of broken businesses? I say no. You're certainly not trickling down the wealth to your employees, many of whom I imagine struggle to pay your company's fees as well. We see right through you. We will not let people like you, including you, get away with this anymore. Now I'm done.
Hi. All right. So yes, Jacqueline Trinidad, JACLYNTRINDADE. All right. I wish I had time to get numbers like a lot of us did. I'm really glad they did. But hearing Brandon say $12 million to a CEO, well, I'm not getting my prescriptions, and I make the most money I've ever made in my whole life, and I live with my mother. I live with my mother at age 42 with my 3 children, and I'm struggling so hard to get on my feet every day. And I listen to these people. Nobody knows this is happening here tonight. Everybody I encounter, I asked, hey, do you know this is happening? Do you even know you're having a rate increase of 23%? And they had no idea. And I'm sitting here going, holy cow. And I can't get my voice heard because my voice is small in this world. And when I sit here listening to other people, knowing that my voice isn't small, I am one of many. But the people like me can't get here, and they're not here, and they're not represented. There's a huge amount of disabled people whose voice is not heard, who would literally die. And I don't understand why any CEO would deserve $12 million when the people don't make nearly that, and we cannot afford the 23% increase. It shouldn't be a yearly thing. The gap shouldn't be that big. I worked my butt off my whole life. I'm a metal fabricator. I ran here after work, picked up this person that I met because of this on a website, because we connected, because we both understand what this is like. And I'm here because my kids are old enough to now where I can leave them at home. And I don't have to struggle with childcare and wonder, can I fit this in? I'm 42 years old. I should be in my prime. I should be on top of the world. I manage a metal fabrication shop. And it's insane that this is happening. You guys don't know the plight of the people that you're serving. And you're serving us. You say it. Your ads say it. They say it, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I live with my mom. It's beyond humbling at my age with a daughter that's 18 that just went off to college, which, that's probably why I cannot get these eyes to stop. Because I was sitting here going, oh my God, how am I going to make this stop? I don't cry. I'm really strong. I'm really tough. I'm a blacksmith, okay? I'm a blacksmith, and I'm not supposed to be crying in front of people I don't know. But I just don't understand how there's such a huge gap and why I'm not deserving of a home and electricity and why all these people aren't and why we have to struggle so hard and watch everybody just go and enjoy so much. In the position that I'm in, I love what I do. I'm very fortunate in that because I know so many people don't. But I get to see a world. I get to see a lot of very wealthy people. And there's some that are really amazing that I talk to, and I'm like, wow, I just don't get it. I don't understand, and I don't think I ever will. But as a single mom of 3 who has now literally had to choose between my prescriptions because I have chronic illnesses. I don't look like it, but I carry the Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis. I carry mast cell disorder. I carry POTS. I carry a slew. And along with that, I carry mental health. conditions that don't get spoken about enough, and how your electricity hike will affect the mental health of so many people. We all know people that struggle with addiction, I'm sure, because every person in Rhode Island knows someone that has struggled with addiction. And mental health, and this, and it's connected. It's all together. You don't understand what taking money away from people that don't have it to give does. And that's really all that I can say at this point, I guess.
The next name I